Theory time! I'm going to entertain myself today with this theory that I have, and hopefully that's interesting to you in one way or another. I'm here at the gym after closing time, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. What should I... Well, there's nothing I want to do, but in theory, if I wanted to, I could. I am one stubborn motherfucker. I have rules, I have things I believe in, certain values, and once I believe in something, I stick to it like... I think my stubbornness all begins with habits. I think that habits have so much power. Every habit we develop builds our entire personality at once, whether it's in a single area or a different one. I think it all affects one another. I think the way we behave with one person is the way we behave with all people, including ourselves. It goes both ways. The way we interact with ourselves is the way we interact with the world, and so on. The same goes for different things we do. If we think of messy mind, messy room, wait, the opposite, messy room, messy mind, it's all cliche by now, but I genuinely believe that the way we deal with certain things affects the way we deal with different things, and that applies always for everything in my book. Now, what is a habit? What's not a habit? In my in my opinion, everything we do, from the things we say and how we say them, from the actions we take, the way we approach every single thing we do, it's all habits. We tell a certain story to ourselves first and then to the world, and that story goes with us everywhere else. That makes me fucking stubborn because I'll give you an example. I'll give you a relevant example. I don't know why I want to jump off the bench and do something. Red lights. What? I don't know why I do these things. Let's finish this one and move somewhere else. Red lights. Every now and then, when you go by foot, you get to a red traffic light. And when you get to a red traffic light, you can look to your right, to your left. You can see that you're in a small street. There's no vehicles anywhere to be seen. And you choose to cross even though it's red. Completely fine. I do not judge you as a person. It's all good. We can stay friends. How do I approach these things myself? Something like crossing a red light? Well, for me, it's an opportunity to teach myself a lesson, or to not teach myself a lesson. I ask myself first, if I cross at this red light, why do I do it? What story do I tell myself? And for me, it's something along the lines of, I'm too much in a hurry, I have better things to do, I should keep going, I shouldn't wait because it doesn't make sense, because it's stupid. And if something is stupid, and if something doesn't make sense to me, straight, just like in my face, doesn't make sense, and if it's a waste of time, then I should maybe bend the rules a little bit. That's not a story I want to tell myself. Does that make any sense? I want to tell myself that I'm patient. I want to tell myself that I can wait 10 extra seconds, 15, 30 extra seconds at this traffic light, because it's okay. What's going to happen if I wait for 30 seconds? It's not efficient, that's fine. I'm standing at the traffic light with myself. I'm not escaping it. I'm not escaping stillness. And by doing so, I'm trying to teach myself to be comfortable with stillness, to be comfortable with listening to rules and not bending them once something is a little bit uncomfortable for me. You can already see how much I exaggerate these things, but still, I might ask myself questions like, okay, if I would be at this traffic light with my kid, I don't have one, but I would be with a random kid. I don't know, I'm holding the hand of a random kid I'm taking home. I don't know. Not my home. What the fuck is this? I'm at the traffic light with a random kid who I take to his own home. Would I cross the traffic light showing that kid that's something that you do? No, probably not, right? I wouldn't want to teach him to cross red traffic lights because I don't trust him, because it's risky for him, maybe because I don't want to, teach him a lesson that's not, maybe he doesn't understand it like I do. If that's the case, then I think, well, what about my inner, child that's going to be taught this lesson? And so I choose to avoid it. The same goes for a different example. Let's say I walk with someone I adore. So I have this person I look up to. Would I cross a red light with him now and kind of lead him through a red light? Probably not, right? I want to impress someone, and going through this red light will feel like a little bit of a weak display of character. I don't know why, right? But for some reason, it's not going to feel 100% comfortable. maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign. And for me, what I'm trying to do is tell myself a story constantly with everything I do. You know, I do this, I upload a video at the gym. I want to tell a story. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that this is me, this is a part of what I do. This is my job. I'm a gym person. I'm masculine, and I don't know. I want to tell you something. But on top of that, there's a lot of me trying to show vulnerability and trying to show character and trying to show that I can say anything. Nothing scares me. I'm an open book, right? It's a story I want to tell the world, and I want to tell to myself, right? I don't want to be hiding things from myself. I want to be telling myself everything. And so I tell you everything in the hopes of teaching myself to tell myself everything. Does that make some sense? It gets very abstract and weird, but I'm a stubborn piece of human, and I think of things in patterns. Everything. Habits and patterns. Good and bad. So, first stubborn Noam rule: I never push myself to failure. So I never get to the point where I'm like, and I can make it, right? I keep some in the tank always. And that for me became a life kind of rule, mostly because of my sickness. I was pushing myself, crashing, and then I think that part of me just kind of got scarred, traumatized. And so now, no pushing for Noam. No pushing for Noam. כן, אני פשוט אמשיך מפה עכשיו. אם פשוט יראו אותך, לא מפריע, נכון? ככה. אם אני כאילו מפריע לכם אם אתם לא הסרטון? לא, ממש לא. Is not getting to failure an issue? Well, for certain goals it is. I mean, if you want to get as big as possible, you probably need to get to failure more often than not. If you want to get stronger too, you probably want to push that upper limit and just learn to push yourself more. But for me, I want to teach myself to stay on a difficult but manageable kind of level. When I teach my trainees, this is what I tell them. Exercise is essentially making stuff uncomfortable, but kind of fine. So not pushing myself to the limit can be broken down into multiple things. First of all, I avoid the collapse I'm so used to. In the past, physical activity was the thing that would make me crash the most, and so I'm avoiding that now. And it means I come back again. You know, if I don't suffer, if I'm not all sore, if I feel good after the workout, a little bit uncomfortable but good, I can come back again, and I personally enjoy that. And so I teach myself that. I develop a habit and I come back again because I'm okay with not doing it at 100%. I'm okay with not developing the quickest and the best and to the fullest, and that's fine for me. That's one thing I develop. Now on top of that, I feel like I'm trying to condition myself into two more things. The first one is I want things to be uncomfortable. I want things to be difficult. I want to get familiar with challenging myself and my capabilities. On the other hand, I don't want to be believing that only if I challenge myself to the fullest then I'm actually doing the right thing. I want to know that there's a limit, that I listen to myself, and that at a certain point, if things are too difficult, too challenging, it's okay to say I stop here. And it's fine. If I teach it to myself here in the workout, I could probably do it somewhere else in my life. Some people in some areas need to be able to push themselves to the limit to get to amazing things and amazing results. And it's great that some people do it. Some people can't help but do, everything, put all the effort in and resist their urge to stop and relax. I by no means say that it's a bad thing, but for me personally, it's not a habit I want to develop. If I can help it and I can choose to stop sometimes and not have this when you do push yourself to the limit every single time, something I did do for a long time while being in my bodybuilding phase, the habit you build is push yourself as close as possible to your limit. And that fluctuates. You never get exactly to the limit. There's always this feeling that you could have done a little bit more, and if something would have been a little bit different, you would be able to do the one repetition that you didn't manage to do. And that's fine. If you want to push yourself to the absolute limit, that's the way to go. But in my opinion, at least for me, if I want mental peace and clarity, I want to trust myself and know that I I know where my limit is, and it's okay if I stop a little bit beforehand. I can listen to it and it's just fine. It's simply the way I function. If I tell myself a story here throughout the workout, the story I want to tell myself is not I wasn't enough or I didn't push myself as hard enough. The story I want to tell myself is I listened to myself, I challenged myself, but I chose to stop a little bit before the limit. Second stubborn Noam gym rule for life patterns thing. Practice gently the things you're most scared of. My workouts are weird. Compared to everyone else around me at the gym, I do probably the weirdest, most shaky, awkward looking exercises. But I do that on purpose because whatever you challenge is the thing that improves. Like I said a second ago, essentially what you do here in the gym is make something uncomfortable in a comfortable way, right? You make it uncomfortable in a way that's manageable, that's okay, that you can handle. When your body sees that it's uncomfortable, it says, okay, tomorrow we need to be better, we need to be stronger, we need to be bigger. If you're scared of rounding your back and lifting something heavy and injuring yourself, there's two things you can do. The first one is preventing that, getting good technique, trying all these, lift things with your back straight and everything. That's the one thing, that's what everybody's doing. You're trying to prevent getting to a rounded back. But life is chaotic. Life will get you to a rounded back position at one point or another. And so why not practice being with the rounded back as well? So you're strong where you're weak. Old people start to fall and they break stuff. That's probably one of the biggest problems the elderly has. And so what they do in the gym a lot of times is they work on balance. They work on not falling, which is phenomenal. That's great. If you can not fall, you don't break anything, so that's good. But the second thing you can do, and that's also something that people practice, is falling. You just fall better. They learn how to fall. And so then later on, instinctively, they just fall better. But also, they fell last week and their bodies start to get more and more used to falling. And so at some point when they fall and it's actually pretty bad, it's not that bad. The same goes here with these exercises. I do weird stuff that is unbalanced, that is not stabilized. So I have to stabilize and I have to balance and I have to fall. And so I get stronger with time. And that again applies to everything else in life for me. Avoiding the things we might get hurt from is not the way to go. I want to teach myself vulnerability. I want to teach myself that I might get hurt, but it's fine, I can recover. As long as I do it gradually and slowly and in ways that I can handle. If I do the things I do now with too much weight, that's gonna be a problem, right? I don't wanna be doing that. But what I do here, leaning on the previous rule, is I control myself. I don't push myself to the maximum. I keep some in the tank, way more than one. Here, I could have done more and I choose not to. But I train the places I'm so scared of getting to, and so when I actually get to them, I'm the strongest guy around. Nobody here lifts things with a rounded back and does all this weird stuff I do. I do it. And so in a weird paradoxical way, when I get to this rounded back position, I'm the strongest guy around. Same goes for holding stuff in weird, unbalanced positions and whatnot. How does that look like outside of the gym? Well, that begins with things like this again, my vulnerability and me saying things that might be too personal, that you maybe can use against me, and then throwing it and sharing it online. I do it gradually and in ways that I feel comfortable with, but I'm trying to push this vulnerability line. I'm scared of getting to some places because what if? What might you think of me? How could you use it against me at some point? But can you really use it against me if I'm super strong there? If I expose myself, if I expose my rounded back to you constantly, well, sounds perverted, but if I'm so used to exposing my vulnerabilities, if anything was to be used against me, I'm close to bulletproof because I've been here so many times. One more thing is my mental health. Digging in your history and trauma is not comfortable whatsoever, but that's something I do gradually now. If I wanted to avoid discomfort and avoid these places that might re-trigger something, I would definitely not go there, right? I only go roaming in my trauma and my history because I want to get comfortable with it. If I've been there many times, if I visited my trauma, my history, my painful memories many times, each time they get less and less painful, and life threatens them less and less. A trigger is a vulnerable part within you that is scared and terrified and trying to protect the system, experiencing something it sees as a threat and then tries to defend the whole system. But what if I gradually expose it to it? What if I kind of trigger myself in small amounts, exactly in the place where, again, I'm all, rounded and bent and like in the scary kind of positions. And so with time, real life triggers become less and less scary, and they trigger me less and less. I dig in my own brain so that when something else pops into my own brain, it's not that foreign anymore. I shove scary, threatening thoughts into my head purposefully, slowly, gradually, and controllably, but so that I'm more resistant when life actually throws shit at me. The third, final Noam Jim life rule thing is active negatives. If I lift something, I did it, right? I lifted it. If I leave it now, it just drops because of gravity, right? What I can try and do is think of controlling the weight downwards. As if I lift it, then I think of pulling it down. Do I actually pull it down? No, gravity is doing the work, but it's going to activate more muscles and feel and look a little differently. I'll demonstrate. Naturally, I didn't actually push the bar back down. Gravity is doing its work. But when I'm thinking of pushing it, different muscles activate and my whole body works as a unit. I do it because I want to develop this thing I call dad strength. I want my whole body to be as a single unit and just be super strong, as carry heavy shit and open jars easily. When I do that, different muscles that wouldn't be involved in the motion when I only think of pulling and then releasing start to jump in and join in. But again, thinking about this from a stubborn Noam point of view, what story am I telling myself and what story am I not telling myself? Let's think of the alternative first. So what everybody's doing usually. If I win and I go strong and I win, and then I surrender to the weight, right? It's me saying the negative, the going back, the surrendering to the weight is me surrendering to the weight. I don't choose to do that. It happens to me. On the other hand, if I choose to control that too, that says something, right? I control the negative and I take responsibility over it. I take ownership about both sides of the coin. Every coin has two different sides. And so by taking control over the negative, by trying to control it, by trying to restrain it, by not having it happen to you, but rather you make it happen, at least as much as you can, I feel like you're telling this story to you as well. You don't surrender to life. You don't surrender to the things that happen to you. It's not that you're in control of everything good that happens to you and everything bad is just, life happening to you and you taking the blows. You're in control of some things and you're not in control of some other things. Gravity's there and it's going to help you. You're not literally pushing the bar away from you, but you take control of everything you can take control of. You're pushing, you're activating all the muscles that's relevant for that action to happen controllably. Now this tells many stories, but what story am I trying to tell the most? Probably that I take responsibility over myself, my actions, my thoughts. I take responsibility, and not over a part of it, not only over the full half glass, the whole fucking glass. I take responsibility over the whole glass, ups and downs. The wins and the defeats, the positives and the negatives. I might sound insane, I know, but I genuinely believe that every habit we develop is this kind of a vote for the kind of person we want to become. I think it's from Atomic Habits, he speaks of it there. But it's, if you convince yourself of one thing through action, through habits, you might actually become that one thing. If you're trying to become a one thing, if you're trying to tell yourself a certain story about yourself, but your actions don't prove it, what makes you think that you'll get to be that one thing, that one person, that one identity you're trying to become? Again, this is only a theory. This is me trying to process some thoughts that I have. Hope that makes some sense. If that's actually interesting to you or applies to your life in any kind of way, tell me, let me know. Think of the way you exercise. Does that apply to your personality, to the way you're trying to live life? I know people who push themselves to the absolute limit, and that goes around everywhere. You know, they ignore pain, they ignore cues that tell them to stop just to push their limits and get to really impressive achievements. And they do, they get to these achievements, but at what cost? If that's the life you choose for yourself, or if that's the life that's been chosen for you, that's cool, that's fine. But I wonder if you can see that in your working out. And if you want something different, how about changing it first in your workout and see if it actually applies elsewhere in your life? Let's say I want to start communicating with the high achieving Noam again. I can't really find this guy. I don't know where he is. I can't really push myself to the limit right now. Even if I try to push my personal record and go as hard as I can, I teach myself to go at like 70-80%, like I said a second ago. And in some places it's positive. You know, I teach myself in life that it's fine to not do 100%, and so I stay consistent and I feel comfortable doing everything I'm doing. It feels like enough, which is great. I mean, imagine feeling like enough, right? But at the same time, my high achiever self is kind of gone. Even if I try to push myself, I can't get to 100%. I'm scared of getting to 100%. I taught myself to only get to 70% or whatnot. And so even when I'm pushing myself, I surrender way before I have to. If I want to be pushing myself in life more, maybe professionally, maybe in my love life, isn't it maybe a good idea to try and start pushing myself further in my workouts? If that's a habit I develop, could that maybe grow later on into different things and jump into different places like my profession? I don't know, makes sense to me. The way I look at it, I work out exactly the same way I live my life. So in a weird way, maybe my workout has more power over my life than I think. Do you want to be more organized? Maybe you should organize a workout that's very, strict and organized. Do you want to be more easygoing? Maybe you should improvise in the gym more. Are you not feeling like you push yourself enough? Maybe you should push yourself more. Having that said, why not just celebrate your strengths? Are you good at improvising at life? Are you jumping between things? Sort of entrepreneur kind of person? Maybe you should do the same at the gym. Don't try to fit into a plan. Just improvise. Try to learn weird stuff and experiment with uncomfortable things so they become comfortable. Are you this very straightforward, do what's need to be done, push yourself over the... Make your workout fit for you, and that's probably going to be the one you'll stick to. I don't know. Mind felt kind of messy today. Hope that makes some sense. Thanks for stopping by.